What up, HyperChange? Welcome to the not live stream. My live streams have been doing horribly, so I wanted to do an off-the-cuff live stream post battery day here. Everything has kind of died down. It's like 8:30 p.m. right now, back in my Airbnb, and I just wanted to kind of, put my thoughts down and let you all know, because this has been an insane day. I was gonna leave the event, do this live stream, but it ended up basically getting like swept into this like VIP sort of investor tour that they were doing for institutional investors, like basically kind of just snuck in and they let me be in there, which was so epic. And so actually was able to see the cell production line after that. And they let you kind of like talk to the executives, Jerome, Drew, which was so epic, and learning just so much about what went down. And so now I'm back in my Airbnb just trying to process all of this. It has been the craziest, longest day, but I wanted to give you kind of my thoughts, what I was expecting versus my expectations, kind of just live off the cuff style. I have your tweets right here, so I'm going to be reading those, answering all of your questions. Thank you for submitting them. The 4680. So Tesla had the 4680 cell. So Tesla drops, so the cell exists. That leak that Electric had, the Roadrunner cell, Project Roadrunner, Tesla speculation to actually be building their own battery in-house. This is actually happening. It's the 4680 cell, I believe. Tesla's building, I don't know if I get the numbers right, but this new battery cell, it's much fatter. And the biggest breakthrough in terms, and I gotta give a shout out to the limiting factor, who I had on my channel before he blew up, and now he's been blown up because he's been doing amazing battery day videos. But he had a really good one, basically predicting sort of this bigger cell, talking about the tabless electrode, the way that allowed a bunch of different heating mechanism, because before you had all these little 4,000 cells, then you have this tiny little heating mechanism, this little wire off of every single cell that is basically used to heat and cool and transmit this, stuff. So now Tesla, it seems simple, but they basically made their cell so there's no little wire, all of it's conductive. This means they don't have to have all this extra pack around it. It's literally just the battery cell and the car. And this unlocks, it's like, okay, well now we can squeeze more battery cells in there because we don't have the modules, and we don't have to waste time with these little conductors. That means we can make the cell bigger. And that this tabless essentially breakthrough solves the biggest friction point to making a bigger cell, which otherwise would have been obvious, which is that heat transfer. And so huge. And so this is where it gets super, super complicated, but Tesla's basically layering like all these like micro layers into this battery, and it looks beautiful. Like I saw this thing in person. Oh my God. So we do the cell production line tour. There's like 6 different stations. Every single thing was way over my head. It was so complicated. It's like autonomy day. I'm gonna have to rewatch, the entire stream, do a whole video with like pictures, details, edited, all that stuff. Don't worry, that's coming. But oh my God, I mean, this has gotta be, but it's like, just like autonomy day went over everybody's head, I feel like this one went over everybody's head too. And so a lot of what they were actually doing at that Cato Road facility on the cell production line was way over my head. It's just, they're entirely building a cell from scratch. So essentially at the Gigafactory in Nevada, Panasonic is actually building those battery cells. Tesla's buying them as they come off the line. Now Tesla's building them themselves. Honestly, this looked more similar to the Panasonic part of the Gigafactory that I saw than anything else I had seen. And so you're seeing a lot of these cells shoot through. I mean, it's crazy because we all talked about this top secret battery lab, this crazy R&D project that Tesla was working on, and that is exactly where I was, and it could not have been more on point. Like the rumors, I almost feel bad because there was just so many, like the cat was out of the bag. Everybody knew Tesla had a new cell, everybody knew we were gonna get the production line tour, and so it feels like there wasn't a big announcement or surprise, but the announcement itself that Tesla is vertically integrating into battery cells is huge. And there was one layer of the announcement, which I didn't predict on the channel and wasn't really discussed, or that I hadn't been thinking about, and that I don't know, I haven't seen people on Twitter talking about it, but to me, this is huge. And I actually got a tour of this as well, was the cathode manufacturing process. So before they can even get the stuff to build the battery cell, you have to actually build the cathode and anode and all that stuff, a separate process. That crazy chemical engineering is happening in China a lot of the times, or halfway around the world. They're shipping these raw materials to these crazy factories in China that turn them into stuff that they can make into batteries, and then Tesla would make them into batteries. And so, or Panasonic. But now, and this is something I talked a lot about with Vivas, as I had him on. He was former Tesla battery materials team. He's really helped me think through this problem of like, okay, if we're gonna get 90 million EVs on the road or whatever, how does that impact the raw materials supply chain of, we're gonna need to literally from the ground up build all these new supply chains to accommodate for all these new raw materials in cars. And so Tesla, there's always, and it's such a fragmented mining industry, like lithium EV cars aren't going mainstream except for Tesla. And so Tesla is literally like single-handedly with brute force moving this industry forward. And not just by replacing what Panasonic and CATL does, Tesla's savage. They figured out how to actually do cathode, like even one step down the chain of vertical integration that I was totally not expecting. This was actually part of the tour, was a surprise at the end of the battery tour, was the cathode plant as well. Tesla has a top secret cathode plant that they've been working on. So to me, this is one of the biggest takeaways from this is, and this is the biggest, if I could sum up all of Battery Day in one message, it's not that Tesla's released a new battery cell, but that Tesla has launched a comprehensive systems approach to battery manufacturing, mining, just the entire battery architecture, and just they've launched this program that is an R&D powerhouse to develop from scratch in-house the world's most advanced and sustainably produced and lowest cost batteries. And they're just inching down that vertical supply chain. And it's like Autonomy Day where they have the chip team, they have the autopilot team, the software and the hardware, and it all comes together. They're basically launching this division at Tesla, which has this purpose to make the cars autonomous. To me, what I felt like today was really this big push and announcement essentially of not a cell, but a division within Tesla of this battery research unit. It's not about the 4680 cell that they come out with today. Think about the 4680 cell that, or whatever this technology looks like in 5 years, and the biggest thing about all of this was taking this in-house allows Elon to, the cost trajectory of lithium ion cells is like this. Now it's sort of like this, and we have this different dip because of this sort of amazing breakthrough with this new technology. Like, this is legitimately a technological breakthrough. And stop sending me all these emails. Everyone sends me emails, QuantumScape this, like, did you read about this battery startup? It's like, dude, who cares? I'm so sick of reading and hearing about battery technology that doesn't exist. Meanwhile, Tesla, who the media hates and, I don't know, I just don't get it. Anyway, but Tesla's actually doing it. They actually have this facility on the ground. They've been scaling it, not talking, just putting the work in. Like, I love that about Tesla. Like, and they're even saying, like, yeah, we're trying to get to scale by 2022. We're trying to ramp this up. We're trying to, scale all these batteries, but it's going to be really hard. It's going to take a really long time. Like, it's not going to be easy. We know what we need to do, but there's a lot of challenges to get there. Like, really good job at managing expectations on this. All right, let me go to some of your questions on Twitter. Sorry, usually I'm live, so I guess I do this live too. But yeah, so someone said, Johan, the raw materials come in, the cars come out. This is unprecedented. And you might be like, well, so this is what I was asking Drew about, kind of like, whoa, you guys went into cathode production? Like, savage move out of nowhere. Like, why were you able to do that? It seems so hard. Like, they're only doing that in China. Like, how does Tesla also bring that in-house while designing the cell as well? So much going on. And it's basically like an alignment of incentives. Like, you have boring mining companies who need financing, who need to get banks on board to do these projects, to set up these low IRR, non-sexy businesses. Manufacturing isn't sexy, especially like chemical refining and so there hadn't been, Tesla is really unique in the battery EV world in that their motivation and the amount of cars they have to sell, the amount of capital behind them, and just how motivated that means that are to actually bring this technology to market is supremely unique. It's a supremely new set of incentives, innovative approach. It's, it's Apple, Amazon, it's tech, it's software going against these dinosaur industries that just have not seen change and are more akin to mining and oil than technology. And so Tesla comes in and says, we're about to reinvent everything. We're going to go think from first principles. We're going to hire all the craziest, smartest people with different backgrounds. Like, it's unbelievable. And so Tesla is able, by this new alignment of incentives to where they are launching this comprehensive battery unit, they need to figure out how to make enough sustainable cathodes for this program. And so they're bringing that in-house. And so I think this is a huge, starting to be a tectonic shift in honestly the mining and raw materials industry, where Tesla's just inching along, being more and more vertically integrated here. So that's huge. We got the Plaid Model S announcement. We were all waiting for that. People are a little bit disappointed because it's not available till 2021. I just think it's going to take time for them to really scale this cell into an operational product. Like, I don't think people realize how 0 to 1 or just like how big of an innovation this is. They didn't really talk about the CapEx needed to build out these production lines. So my guess on all of this is, I think I was a little bit too excited. I was like, oh my God, they're about to announce the Plaid Model S. It's going to be savage. Like, it's going to, we're going to be able to order it. It's going to, I even have it modeled into my Q4 numbers. That was wrong. They're not even delivering it until probably Q4 2021, it sounds like. So the Plaid mode happening slower, but it sounds like, there's just a lot to do from like Tesla's decided they're going to build their own battery. They're investing all the money in it. It's starting to work. They're validating it, but that's still a long way from like getting into a real product and being sold. So the Plaid Model S is coming though. It's like 140 grand. It looks like starting price 130. So good luck. Order that if you want. I'm good with my Model Y for now. So the first car to actually get these cells, I think, will be Model S Plaid, but that's right around when the Cybertruck is supposed to come out, the Tesla Semi. So it sounds like just all of these next generation vehicles are going to get this new battery cell. Man, it was like the vibe at the event was out of control. Like there was just everyone was happy. Like everyone was we couldn't cheer. So we were just all honking. And like, honestly, that was my favorite part of today. I'm getting sidetracked, not really coverage, but just seeing all my friends. Hi, all the Tesla people. Like I'm such a, I'm a fanboy and member of the community. So it's just like amazing. And we all get to come together and fanboy out at the event. And it's just kind of a feel good, like almost like a family reunion kind of thing. So I just love the vibes. And I think the Tesla community, it's so hard to, and just seeing this sea of Model Ys, all there, all watching this battery, with COVID. It was so dystopian, but also so futuristic and so exciting, and just a palpable level of just excitement and people knowing that this is the future of so much amazing technology was born at Battery Day. And frankly, I just feel like of course we haven't even unpacked all the amazing schemes that they've announced. So, that's what I'm hyped to do, is go rewatch this. Really dive in, figure out what's going on, figure out these production ramp timelines, when this is really going to start to hit scale, how much of this have they validated, what really was the breakthrough that allowed them to go tablets. Like there's so much to explore here. Elon not being hyped on vehicle to grid, said we did it with OG Roadster, but nobody used it, not actually that big of a value add, so they didn't do vehicle to grid. That was one thing I was expecting. So there's a lot of nuance to the event. There's so much there. I thought the biggest thing was the confirmation of the Model 2. Ooh, this is going to be a good one. So the Model 2, Tesla's smaller form factor car. We all known this was coming. Of course, this is going to be the best car and that they're going to sell the most of. Like if Tesla's a $500 or $400 billion company, they need to be moving all of us around. Every Uber, every time we're moving around a city, like Tesla, it's got to be in a Tesla. Like if you're going to be the biggest company in the world, like a lot of people have to be paying you a lot of money to use your service. And so how does Tesla just unlock that mainstream? Like Apple, 2 trill, everybody's got an Apple phone in their pocket or whatever, that kind of ubiquity. How do we get to that ubiquity with Tesla? The Model 2 is, or I'm calling it the Model 2. They say I don't have a name, but this cheaper $25,000 fully autonomous car, that's what's going to make $50 billion in earnings. That's the car that is the holy grail of all of this technology that they've been developing that will really allow them to scale like crazy and actually, generate tens of billions of dollars in potential earnings with this robo-taxi service. And Elon said they want to have the potential to pump out 20 million cars a year. And so when you start to unpack this, like they didn't show the car, but they said in 3 years they're going to drop this car. So to me, as someone who, Tesla's had that rumor, Elon talked about it on MKBHD, but were they actually going to put it out? No one knew. And now today they implicitly basically confirmed that they are going to do the Model 2. It's going to be savage. This is their true ride, autonomous vehicle, not the Model 3 or Y. And so I thought that was a really interesting tidbit from the event. I'm going to check out your tweet, see if there's anything more I missed. So they're sandbagging on timelines. I don't know. I think a lot of people, it's interesting to see that there was kind of a palpable disappointment almost from Battery Day. It's like, dude, the stock is up 10x. Tesla's crushing it. They're on the cusp of commercializing this radical breakthrough in battery technology that would be a massive, massive deal. To me, of course, if your stock goes up 10x and adds 350 billion in market value, there's a lot of expectations priced in. So I think that's a lot of the market. And I think, I don't know, that's honestly my biggest frustration is I feel like people we already kind of knew what it was. So it's like Tesla's not going to get the credit they deserve for just how amazing and incredible this accomplishment was. And so I was super impressed. Oh, talking about the Cybertruck. So one thing I was actually talking to Jerome about that I thought was super interesting is I was like, bro, are we going to build a cyber semi-truck, a cyber everything? Because everyone loves the Cybertruck. Isn't it easier to build? And it was really interesting to hear the semi-truck is actually really engineered as well. Like people say the Cybertruck is engineered, not designed. I think the semi-truck is actually very similar, even though it doesn't look like it. So basically, the semi-truck the way you're seating, the way how aerodynamic it is, the way you're in the center, the way all the curves work, the way you can see everything. Like, apparently there's a really lot of thought and detail. And it was interesting to hear that almost the semi-truck was just as much engineered, not designed, as the Cybertruck was. And if anything, the Cybertruck, they took more artistic flair and creativity, because that was something where it was like, okay, we need to do all this. And yes, this weird Cybertruck exoskeleton, steel, like ridged flat line thing is what we need. And it happens to be what Elon's, savage Blade Runner aesthetic wants to be. But the semi-truck, they designed it with this sort of engineering functionality first, and then I don't know if that's making too much sense, but I thought it was really interesting color on them. And it sounds like, Tesla's team is so cool. And one of my favorite parts about it was how they pitch recruiting and how everybody on the team is so just like, we don't care if your background's not in batteries. We don't do like this. Like that one guy said he learned more about some guy who like built golf balls or something. Or like all these weird factories that they were showing and talking about in the presentation. They're like, no, manufacturing isn't cool. Manufacturing isn't sexy. Tesla's going to make it sexy again. They're going to use software. They're going to use robotics. They're going to bring manufacturing back. They're going to show that if you're a manufacturing company, like this is amazing. This is great for the country. And it provides huge value, and it's a huge competitive advantage. And Tesla's feedback loop, their vertical integration, this is what we're seeing. This is what today's about, is Tesla using their capital, using their technology, using those resources, actually not even money capital, engineering capital, to really scale down this next piece of the supply chain. And it's like battery technology is not going to get there on its own. We are literally going to push this shit forward. That's what got announced today. I mean, it is, now Tesla, they've always been capital constrained. They've never had enough money. Now they have enough money, and this is the shit they developed. They're pretty much on a budget still, but now Tesla has unlimited money. They just raised $5 billion. They have like $10 billion in the bank. I mean, I think that I know we always talk about how far ahead Tesla is. Nobody can keep up, but I mean, dude, the level of advancedness here. I mean, the battery factory tour that we went on, it's just insane. The machinery that you see, like, it was so over my head. This thing is flying like bullets. There's software, everything. Everyone's beeping, they're like, this is how we used to do it. Now we're doing it like this. And the robot does it like that. And then we're inserting these like little foils, and it's like, dude, like Tesla, I'm actually still 50% convinced that Elon Musk might be an alien. And he's there, passing on all this technology that us humans need, because this shit is so advanced. Like, is Tesla, or they're just like an electric toy car for rich people? Who thought that in 2020 they would be better at building batteries than Panasonic, the company who like invented the lithium ion batteries, been building them for 40 years or whatever. Sony, like they're when you think about Tesla as this 12 startups in one phenomena that Elon says, you have to think about the Autonomy Day startup and that division within Tesla. And now think about this battery division within Tesla. I mean, this is, as much as like, yeah, it gets me pumped that like Tesla is gonna like be able to build more batteries to expand and meet their vehicle needs, etc. Like, man, like we needed this. We needed the intellectual people, the smartest people in the world with a ton of money, moving quickly with Elon at the helm, thinking from first principles, radically redesigning battery technology. If we did not do this and Tesla did not do it, like this is going to push the whole industry forward. CATL, Panasonic, LG Chem, they're all watching. They're all shit in the bed. They're all going to start thinking about how they can improve. Everybody's going to step their game up. Competition breeds innovation. That is what we saw right here. And, this cell to me is so iconic. It's so just like, this is the cell that signifies the inflection point where the electric, propulsion system is better, cheaper, more efficient than the internal combustion engine. Fossil fuels, like, to me, Tesla's been this slow success story as we've been following it, but it's just insane to see how far they've come. And it's like, this is truly the technology, it's the silver battery. It's not the silver bullet. It's the silver battery that will seriously do some damage to fossil fuels and climate change. And honestly, frankly, as a consumer, like really gives me hope. I bought my first car. It was electric, and it was from the company that I've been investing in, that I've been following. And it's just, it's really awesome to see this kind of grassroots story come together, and all these shareholders, we're investing in Tesla. We love the cars, but we're also doing this to like fund this incredible technology. And it just makes me optimistic to see, what people can do with a couple $1 billion and some savage engineers, because yeah. And so I'm totally getting sidetracked. I'm going to read more of your questions here. No real surprises for the day. I think these new Kato Road cells are going to be used for the Plaid Model S until they get them perfect, honestly. That's about it. Also, I got to ask a question about airplanes and boats and other stuff that I thought, Elon didn't really answer it, but he kind of gave a hint and said that they basically will hit 400 watt hours per kilogram, and that means they could, in theory, do the VTOL jet. I'm actually, okay, so if I could ask Elon again, it's like, well, is the VTOL jet your one-off pet project, or is that like a product that we're gonna sell millions of, that's gonna change like how we fly around in airports, That's what gets me excited. Like, the real question I'm getting at is like, I took pre-Rona, a ton of planes, and I'm polluting, and I hate that. So if Tesla's gonna, sustainabilize and electrify transport here on Earth, planes are a massively growing market. How do we disrupt the plane? I just think that's too far on their plate for them to get to. A lot of it's, the autonomous Model 2 makes it way more convenient to drive, so planes are less useful. The boring loop shoots you around. That helps to, cut out planes as well. Or is it eventually that, the batteries are going to get good enough. They're going to hit that threshold. They're going to hit be light enough. And it's going to come from the dopest battery R&D innovation lab in the world, the unit that was basically announced today, Tesla's battery division. And so that, that's like where my question was trying to come from, was like, man, I'm like desperate. Elon knows I'm desperate for this flavor of what is next. Like, we're going to do cars, we're going to do trucks, they're going autonomous. We all know that. What is next? Is it boats? Is it planes? Is it trains with the Boring Company? I actually think I'm kind of pissed because I was like, damn, if I could have asked about the Boring Company and if it would make sense to acquire the Boring Company and integrate this battery technology into a high passenger density, like loop sort of mini bus that gets shot underground thing, is that going to be on the roadmap with this new battery technology? Like, I would have loved to know that as well. I'm trying to think about more in the battery line stuff that I heard. Okay, so I'm like running on empty here, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But this is, man, this battery day announcement, this is a game changer for Tesla. I think structurally as an investor, I mean, their moat is their battery technology, their amazing battery, their amazing charging, their amazing, battery longevity, cycle life is why I personally bought their car. And to see them continually pushing this forward, I mean, this has huge implications. Tesla was, they're selling a couple $1,000 cars. They crossed a couple billion in revenue, 5 or 6 years ago or 7 years ago when I started following them. They're delivering the Model S. It's all awesome. Now they've scaled to 25 billion in revenue. They're pumping out 500,000 cars this year. They're going to be profitable for 4 quarters in a row. Like, it's been so incredible to watch them grow up. And it's like, holy shit, you guys are planning to get even bigger. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've already seen them go from like being a pipsqueak to like, honestly, like the best selling car by revenue in America was the Model 3, like changing the game. And then you see this announcement today and you're like, dude, they are just getting started. The freeways in the future, when I'm on autopilot, is electric Tesla semis, it's electric Cybertrucks. It's the Model 2 eventually, driving us all around autonomously in cities. And that battery cell is unlocking, just enough performance that we need for all of those products that are going to take so many fossil fuel emissions just out of the, environment and out of that whole system. This battery in so many ways is just the key to climate change, or at least, it's a huge step in the right direction. I really think more people should be paying attention to it. That's why I started HyperChange. That's why we do the channel, to bring attention to these game-changing technologies that are hyper-changing, changing things quickly in the direction we need them to go. Way more sustainable. I cannot think of a better example of that than Tesla. Like, it's so lame because the word hyperchange, I want to talk to you about all the other companies that are hyperchanging the world, but they're not. There's only pretty much Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, Boring Company. Nobody else is hyperchanging anything pretty much. Maybe Amazon, but like, not with morals. So it's like, I think we're living at an incredible time in history. I think we're going to look back at this day. It's going to be so special. It's going to be so monumental. They're going to say this was massively overlooked. This is one of the greatest breakthroughs of the electric vehicle movement. This is a massive technological achievement. For all those haters and skeptics that said Tesla didn't have battery technology, they don't have a secret sauce. I mean, you're just so embarrassingly wrong on the record book of history after this event, because Tesla is just proving they are the most advanced, cutting-edge Manhattan Project level of battery R&D, and they're a division that is funded with billions of dollars, run by the smartest engineers on the planet, and this is what they're doing today, and they're fucking crawling. They're about to be walking in 2022, and they're about to be sprinting in 2025. And we need that. That's the kind of just savage scale of like, oh, we're at 0.3 gigawatt or 0.3 terawatts today. We're about to hit like 10 terawatts ourselves or whatever, whatever crazy, thing they did. Like that's the crazy thing today is we're going to look back and be like, oh, that was cute. Remember when we thought the Model 3 and Y were everywhere? Remember when we thought that was crazy growth? Remember we thought 25 billion in revenue was dope? Like it'll be laughable. And so I cannot wait. My sum up here is Tesla's figure out how to build better batteries faster. I gotta say, huge thank you to the HyperChangers and I'm pumped because, we nailed this shit. Like, go back and watch my last Battery Day preview. I'll put a link in the description. You can pretty much watch that and not the event. And, minus a couple of features I got too hyped about, and that's it. So, huge props to everybody who helped me on the research for this. I feel a little guilty that the YouTuber blogger community let the cat out of the bag, but it's like, it's the Wild West, the free market. Like if somebody, the research is out there, we just did it. And for once it wasn't Wall Street. It wasn't, even seeing this event, the way Tesla catered it to the retail investor, to the people who supported them versus like Wall Street, more corporate, the more way big companies do it like they used to, more autonomy. Like Tesla doesn't run their thing like that, but every big company does. And just to see them continually pivot into the retail investor, for it to work, for them to also be customers, for them to, you'd have people like me and who then the stock goes up and you buy the car and then love it even more. Like, this is, every company is a movement. The shorts and the skeptics try and call this a cult as an insult. To me, everything that's great is a cult. The one thing I heard about Apple my entire childhood growing up, the entire lesson in business class, the entire philosophy was Apple's a cult, cults are people that get, people believe strongly in a mission and a belief like, we care. We're a cult because we care, because we give a shit, because there's a why behind this company, and that makes us pump, and that makes us want to support it. And people think that's an Achilles heel. That's actually Tesla's greatest strength, is that it's a cult, and that people actually give a fuck about what they're doing because it's going to impact the planet in the way they want it to. It's not just, money on a spreadsheet. And I've said that so many times, but it's just so true. And I don't know, I'm pumped because to see Tesla succeed, really gives me optimism about my life and the future, and that, you can go against the biggest, most entrenched industry in the world, fossil fuels, oil, the petrodollar, whatever you want to call it, just everybody saying you're going to fail. Nobody's started an auto company in 100 years. Nobody's, everything is going against you, and yet you can still succeed. You can still win. They fucking did it, and the stock is they've succeeded beyond any of our wildest imaginations so far, and probably will continue to do. Go back and look at my projections I made in 2012 when I was long Tesla at 28 per share about how many cars they were going to sell this year. I'm way too fucking low. I mean, that is savage. And so this is, I really think we should all take a step back and just realize that this is way bigger than Tesla's event or a new battery cell or da-da-da. This is like a Netflix show of the history of humanity doing a pivotal change in the right direction at a time when the world is really dark and there's a lot of sad things and it's a lot, shit kind of sucks right now, but there's also just this massive ray of optimism and hope, which is frankly Tesla. People want to say it's a tech bro thing, it's a capitalist thing. No, it's a change the world for the future for all of us thing. That's really what it is. And I really think Tesla should be framed as not like a company or a tech company, but truly a movement that every human needs to get on board with, or we are all fucked. And so that is, anyway, this is my rant of at the end of Battery Day. I'm so dude, this totally blew my mind. I got a little sidetracked from the technology, but this is a game changer. I'm going to do a super deep dive on exactly what they announced, the technology. I'm going to nerd you all through it. You're going to hate me because it's going to be so excruciatingly detailed and nuanced, but that is definitely coming out. So subscribe if you haven't already. Huge shout out to everyone I met at the event who said hi, who said what up. You guys are all awesome. And yeah, have a great day. Celebrate out there. If you're a Tesla shareholder, you're behind the screen. You've been we've all been watching these videos to get we're all in a separate place, but we're all kind of together in this community. I just think tonight is a night of celebration and a moment of happiness. And honestly, huge shout out to Elon, to Drew, to Martin, Jerome, Tesla, the team. You guys have all earned it and honestly succeeded. I was the guy who thought you were going to crush it and change the world and do everything. And I fucking believed, and you even beat my expectations. So that's it, yo. Cheers to that. See y'all next time. Peace. Happy Battery Day.